Learning to hit with the right amount of topspin is essential. Every ball doesn't need to be hit with a ton of topspin, but some balls do. And this is a great drill that I'm about to show you. When I was training in Spain, one of the really interesting things that I recognized a lot is that we did a lot of drills from the service line. And I'm not talking about, hey, let's hit it nice and easy from the service line. I'm talking about full out, let's go after the ball from the service line. Later on, I realized why this is so important. By training from the service line, it allowed me to really work on my acceleration, but also get the ball to dip in the court. You got to think about it for a second. When you train from the service line to the baseline, guess what? The court is almost a third shorter because you don't have that gap between the service line and the baseline. So if you're able to accelerate heavy or through the ball with a lot of spin if you need it, or angles if you need that, then this is a great training tool. And so this is one of the drills we did a ton of, and we did a ton of different sequences, whether it be hitting cross court from this position, hitting an angle from this position, and hitting down the line from this position. So I'm gonna use my brand new ball machine that I will be doing a review on later, but I'm gonna be using that to show you how you can set up a situation where you can start training from the service line to create more spin on your ball. Now, obviously, before we talk about spin, let's talk about what is spin and some of the, I think, traps that a lot of people and players fall into when they're trying to hit more spin. Now, really, all topspin is where your racket starts below the ball and is coming up on the ball. Now, I know there's a lot of talk about windshield wiper, you're turning your wrist to do that, but you don't need that to create spin. So it's really important to understand spin is just coming up on the ball. Now, when you see the pros like Roger Federer and Djokovic and Nadal hitting their forehands with a ton of spin if needed, what they're doing is leveraging their body. And that's what I want to talk about really quickly, a drill you can do to really focus on leveraging your body to make sure you're getting the maximum amount of leverage that you can use for spin if you want to. So the very first thing that I want you to understand is when you look at the pros, what are we really looking at when we're seeing them swing the racket so fast? What we're really seeing them is what I call optimizing the racket for contact. And so if you've ever heard me say this phrase that the racket face sends it, the direction in which the racket face is at contact sends the ball and the path bends it, what the pros are really doing is making sure that they get the racket under the ball, but instead of what most recreational players do is muscle and use small muscles, what they do is, I'm gonna grab my hip here, and they use their body to leverage it. And that's what I wanna show you here. A great way of understanding this is thinking about a bullwhip. If you think about a bullwhip, you have the handle and you have the nice strap. And what they do is they crack the handle, sends that energy all the way down to the end. Well, you're the exact same thing, except your body is the bullwhip and your arm is the leather, loose, relaxed part of it. So really quickly, if I have my arm nice and loose here, but instead of thinking of moving my arm first, what I do is grab my hip and pull my hip. If I'm relaxed, look what happens. I'm pulling my hip, and by pulling my hip, it's relaxed, and my arm now finds itself in the slot position because I'm relaxed. The big mistake a lot of players are doing is they're gripping too tight, which doesn't allow the racket to move, and then because of that, they start manipulating things with their arm and trying to muscle up, and there's so much tension here. So a great drill you can do just to really focus on this is this. Start off with the racket here, and what I want you to do is start off by just holding with 2 fingers and relax, relax. If I hold on with 2 fingers here and I start moving my hip, my racket falls into the slot position, okay? Because my racket's moving down, it's gonna relax, and all I have to do is relax here. I'm not making this happen. It's happening because it's creating lag. And if you've ever heard me also say, don't try to manufacture lag, relax and it'll happen. So what that means is because I'm relaxed here, as my body pulls, my hand is starting to pull forward, and then the racket head lags. And that's how you create more lag, which then in turns, as it starts speeding up, acts like a whip and it sends the energy forward. So the drill I want you to do is simple. Start off nice and relaxed, and all I want you to do is grab your hip if you can, reach that hand around. And I want you to feel as if you're pulling your butt cheek forward. So what has to happen for you to pull your butt cheek forward is that this knee has to relax so it can turn. Notice how my kneecap is facing this direction towards the camera, but as I turn, look what happens. It starts to pull the hand forward. This action is very crucial to making sure you can create a lot of leverage then you can use as topspin. So what I mean by leverage that you can use as topspin is this. Since I'm in this nice fashion here, and if I relax and let my hand drop more by relaxing and let the racket drop, look at what position it's in. It's very steep in facing down towards the court. And as my hip pulls forward, if I lift my arm and let it come around, it creates a lot of topspin. No windshield wiper necessary, which leads to another big mistake that I see players do. They're so muscle intense that they hit the ball and you see this drastic like muscling after they hit the ball. Guess what? The ball's gone. You can't do anything. It's akin to like when you see people bowling and they're doing like little moves to get the ball to move over. You can't do anything. The ball's already gone. So what we should really be focusing on is relaxing, because when you're muscling this over, you're actually slowing the racket down. That defeats the purpose of what you want if you're trying to accelerate and create a lot of acceleration through the ball by muscling it down. Because if I muscled here, guess what? I also had to slow my racket down here. And so that completely defeats the purpose. So what we want to start focusing on is letting the racket go around. If you can see the difference of, as I'm pulling, letting my racket go around. Now, if you start off with just a drop fed ball, what can you do? Here, here. A little close to me, but I'm still nice and relaxed. Nice and relaxed. And you start to see how this drill gets you into this position. This is what you see all the pros. You see Nadal, you see Djokovic, you see Federer, you see everybody leveraging being relaxed and then sending the ball where you want. So from here, now we can start breaking out the ball machine to give us balls to practice on. Now when using the ball machine, we want to focus on the timing. So I'm timing my hip to move early enough to make sure I can hit the ball in front, and I'm gonna have to get better at my timing. The ball machine has a lot of topspin. So now it's a little bit of a mishit. I need to really focus and watch the ball after the bounce, and as it comes up, I'm gonna start turning my hips. So that's much better. I'm nice and relaxed here, letting the ball come up, turning my hips. And right now, I'm really not hitting a lot of spin. If I want to relax more and let the racket head go lower, then guess what? I get a lot of spin. But here's the thing, by leveraging and making sure that I'm relaxed, I can really do whatever I want. And now I'm gonna start using my opposite arm to make sure I pull the hip forward. And you can see how I can get a lot of acceleration just by directing the racket. So if I relax and open the racket face, the ball goes high. If I don't let the racket drop as much and drive through, the ball goes lower. If I drop the racket face, I get more of an angle. So you can see the possibilities of when you know how to use your hip in the right fashion. And just like you see the pros, this is what they're doing to create massive racket speed if they want it, but also penetration. So many players are focused on, I gotta hit topspin, so I have to like do all this action, and then they can never learn how to hit the ball flat or drive through the ball. The key is having both. If you can have both, then what can you do? You can take your forehand to the next level. And so if you're looking for more details about the entire forehand, go ahead and check this video out, because I go through the major steps of the forehand that you can start practicing and drilling to take your forehand to the next level.